Hello friends, it is June 1st and it is time to do the June tour of the garden. Things are growing very fast around here and all of my winter crops or cool weather crops are almost done producing. Some of them bolted and now we're moving on to hot weather things. I am battling the squirrels this year again, so I have a few methods that I'm using to protect my plants. I still need to plant all my corn and all my squash, and I have those as seedlings right now, so I'm going to show you those as well. The sugar snap peas are doing so well this year. I have grown so many of them. I'm going to attribute the success to the really early planting. I think I put these into the ground in middle of March and they grew out and now they're growing here and they are producing so many peas. Luna really loves these peas and we come out here every day and she eats a few and I eat a few myself as well. I have the peas growing on this trellis here and it's only about 24 inches, maybe 30 inches tall, and that's plenty good to grow your peas on. Check out how these are doing right here. They are loaded, but I think we're almost at the end of the production here because I see there is less and less flowers each day, and I think that's because it's starting to get quite warm. I'm going to try to grow the peas again in the fall. So I'm going to be planting the seeds indoors and hopefully putting the plants out here in late August and hopefully get another crop of peas for the fall. Some of these I'll leave here on the plant so that they can produce some seeds and then I can plant those again in the fall. Check this one out. You can see how plumpy this one is, and this one is definitely a good contender to save for seed now. I have some radicchio growing here and it's starting to form a nice cluster here, and as it closes up it's going to start getting blanched a little bit, and then I'm going to use it in salads, maybe grill it and eat it that way. This is the first time I am growing radicchio and it has turned out to be quite simple. I started the seeds in a container and they were together as a cluster. Then I separated the clusters into individual plants and then I put them in here about 4 to 6 inches apart. And they're doing quite well. This is kind of nice. It's kind of a bitter green, so it's a nice addition to a butter crunch salad. But it is kind of related to a cabbage, but much tastier, I would say. If you remember, I planted Napa cabbage, broccoli, radishes, and all the things in here, and most of them got pulled out the other day because they were all bolting. And the Napa cabbage that I had kimchi plants for are all flowering. I think I could still use the greens to make kimchi, but at this point I'm just letting them do their thing. I'm going to take this out very soon and replace them with corn and beans. But the flowers on this Napa cabbage are very beautiful. And there is a lot of little bugs that like to come in and pollinate. And you can see a few things flying here and there. So I am leaving them here for now to attract some of those pollinators and keep them entertained, so that when I put my other things here, like beans that need pollination, the bugs are accustomed to this site and they can come back and pollinate my other plants. The broccoli plants over here are starting to form some heads. Check these out. Baby little broccoli. What I did this year is that I started the plants indoors in February, and once they were big enough I brought them out here and I planted them in here. I put them in this section right here because it doesn't get a ton of sun, so that prevents them from bolting, which is usually the problem I have with broccoli. So check out the little head right here. The other thing I did is that I planted them really spaced apart. These are about 24 inches apart right here, and then in between these other two is about 18 inches. Usually I'm pretty bad at it and I put them too close together, but leaving them separated like this really helps keep the pest away. The only pest I have seen so far is white flies, like this guys right here. I'm not spraying for them because they don't really affect the production, so hopefully it won't affect the broccoli heads. Check out that little broccoli head right there. The potato patch is doing quite well. The thing is, I have two types of potatoes in here, or at least two separate plantings of potatoes. You see those in the back? They're quite tall. And these on the front, not as tall. So the ones in the back I bought from a hardware store, and they were seed potatoes, and they're growing quite tall. The ones in the middle were store-bought potatoes, and they're smaller. And you can see them right here, quite small, maybe half the size as those, even though those are younger than these. But what I'm thinking is I'm gonna let the whole thing die back, and then I'm gonna harvest it all at once, and hopefully there'll be a sizable amount of harvest in here. Check out the beautiful leaves on this potato plant. You can take off the flowers if you want, but I tend to leave them because they're nice. It's said that if you want bigger potatoes, you need to remove them, but I just find those potato blossoms so pretty, and I don't really care if I have to lose a little bit of harvest in order to have those beautiful purple blossoms around here. Next to the potato bed, I have a taro and ginger bed. And check out these beautiful taro leaves. They are doing very happy here, and they are doing so well. I am amazed at how well they are doing. This is growing on almost all compost here, and then I've mulched with a lot of leaves that I had left over. I also have some ginger in here. This is the first one popping up here, and there's a lot more ginger planted in here. There's another shoot right here, and I'm hoping that I get a harvest, a significant harvest. This is my first time growing ginger like this outdoors. I have grown it before in pots, but I didn't get any sizable harvest in pots. So I'm hopeful that it will get very nice and big around here. Along the wall, I have put up this little mesh because I'm going to grow my yard-long beans right along here. Check this out. I put the seeds in here maybe a week ago, and they are already starting to sprout, and they are coming out of the ground, and very soon I'm going to start training them so they can climb the trellis here. This right here is a honeyberry. I have for years wanted to grow blueberries, and blueberries are very finicky, but the honeyberry is similar to a blueberry, not the same, but they are blue and they are small berries like this, and they are tasty. And these are not finicky, and they are very easy to grow. In fact, they already bloomed and produced some fruits. And here is a tiny little fruit. Here's a tiny hascup berry. They get bigger, but the bush is so small that it made really small size berries. But this little berry right here tastes almost like a blueberry, but it's a lot easier to grow than blueberries. This is the potato that I was telling you guys about. It is a yam, Chinese yam, and it's starting to grow, and I'm using the trellis here to grow it out. I dug it out by accident in the spring, and it had a very sizable starchy tuber, but I just bury it back down because I want that tuber to get larger and larger this year, and I'm going to collect a lot of seeds from here this year so that I can grow them out next year. I have a nice fig tree here that I got in this fall, and it's not growing a whole lot. I'm hoping that it really gets going here soon. This is a Violet de Bordeaux, and I'm excited about growing this one out. It's supposed to be really tasty. The papa tree is happy. All the papa trees this year are pushing out a lot of growth, which is very good. They have not grown very much in the last 2 years, but this third year here, they seem very happy and they're growing quite well. This is another honeyberry or hascup, and it had a few blueberries or a few berries in here. Oh, there's a couple right here. There's a few berries right there, and these ones are a little bit larger. Check it out. This is what a hascup berry looks like, and they are quite delicious. So I'm very excited about having these plants here. I'm hoping to propagate a few of them so that I can grow them out in even more places. Check out that pawpaw tree. It is getting very, very tall, like 9 to 10 foot tall now, and it's pushing out a lot of branches. Very excited about that. Hopefully we'll see some flowers in the next year. The elderberry is doing really well this year. I'm going to end up using a lot of the leaves for mulching down. You can see that I have been chopping and dropping a lot of the mulch. I have been taking all the plants material and I just throw it here, and this will decompose and become soil, and this will become a really nice bed for planting some native plants down in this shady spot. This bed right here, that one, the third one, and the fourth one are planted with eggplants and peppers, sweet peppers. And the eggplants are doing quite well. They are growing a little bit. I think they really need the heat in order to start growing. But in the last few weeks, I've noticed that they are putting on some height and some new leaves. And I think that once it gets going and it gets really hot, it's going to grow really well. There's some tiny little asparagus growing in here as well. I planted some asparagus here 2 years ago, but I think this spot is too shady for asparagus, so I'm hopeful that I can grow out the eggplants here. I think the soil is not being too accommodating to the asparagus, so next year I'm going to try to create a new bed for asparagus somewhere else and see if I can grow more asparagus. These pepper plants are finally putting on some growth. It took a long time for them to grow, but now they are getting bushy. You can see each little node is pushing out new leaves and new branches, and I think we're gonna see some flowers soon because I see tiny little buds right there. So hopefully in a few days we'll start seeing the first flowers. This eggplant right here is actually much bigger than all the other ones, and it has some blooms right here. So very soon we're going to start pushing out the blooms, which are very important. This is a rogue potato that has volunteered from last year. There's a few potatoes in here that just keep coming back. Potatoes are weird. They can get perennialized in a spot because you don't dig them all up in the fall, and now they continue to grow on here. That's not a problem to have. That's a nice thing to have. This over here is also more peppers. I can't remember all the names of all the peppers that I have in here. Some of the labels are here. So this one is Mark, so that's short for Marconi Reds, an Italian red pepper that is sweet, very delicious, and easy to grow. Check them out. They are finally growing. They are super tiny plants. They're no more than 4 inches. So hopefully they can get happy and they can get big very soon. The elderberries are starting to form the berries. They have bloomed, and now we're starting to see the berries. It's going to be a short few months here before they are ripe and all the birds start robbing me. Right next to them, this is going to be a good year for the grapes. Check out how many grape clusters I have this year. This is amazing because it has been 2 years since I transplanted this in here, and I haven't been able to get much of a harvest, but this year seems to be the year of the grape. Maybe I'll make some Concord grape jelly again because my stock is running low. I've been giving it away to people, and now it's time to refill the pantry. Right next to that, or in between all of the grapevine, I'm also growing a ton of blackberries. Check out the blackberries. We have some that have formed already. These are formed, and then we have a ton of blossoms. Anything that you see white here, those are all berries to be in the future. There are so many blossoms, and what my goal was to create this space here where the entire fence line is full with berries, grapes, and fruits. And I think this year is going to be the perfect year because Luna and I will come out here every morning once they start getting ripe, and we're just going to snack and snack on all the fruits that are going to be growing here. Check out the size of that rhubarb down there. Maybe I'll make a blackberry and rhubarb pie because I'm growing both of them together. This is my propagation station. I have a ton of little seedlings in here, mostly elderberry. I have sold a lot of the different ones that I've been propagating. So right now I only have elderberry. I have some yuzu lemons in this pot. I'm going to put most of them in my yard this year. hopefully see which ones are stronger than others. Check out the Egyptian walking onions back here are starting to set fruit. These little guys right here are eaten like pearl onions, little tiny little onions. And you can also eat the bottom ones like this one. There's a lot of little edible parts in here that you can eat. You can also eat the stems as green onions. So this is a multi-purpose onion. If you're not able to grow big bulbing onions, I recommend growing the Egyptian walking onion. The other grape arbor is also full of grapes this year. How cool is that? Let me show you how many grapes there are here. Check out this amount of clusters. It's incredible. And right in between that, more blackberries. So cool. This year I'm going to be eating well. I could point so many. There's a ton of grapes. Oh my goodness. It's gonna be a great year for the grapes. The front garden is getting filled up already. I have a ton of stuff that I planted in here. I have a bunch of little broom corn. It's like a little bowl of corns like this. That's just for show and feeding for the birds. I also planted some regular corn in here, some sweet corn. I have sunflowers. I have zinnias. I have larkspur flowers and cilantro. This whole row right here is gladiolus. Right here I'm growing some corn, and I'm using this chicken wire to protect it from the squirrels. The squirrels like to eat the little corn, the seed at the bottom, so they dig out the plants and eat it, and then they just leave the greens there. So then if you want to prevent that from happening, you can put a little bit of chicken wire to prevent the squirrels from digging into your beds. These two beds right here are bulbing onions, and they are starting to get quite large. I haven't seen too many bulbs yet, but very soon they should start forming the bulbs at the bottom. And if they don't form bulbs, that's okay too, because I love to eat just green onions like this. So this is kind of dual purpose. You can eat the tops or you can eat the bulbs. Cilantro is getting quite tall up the front here, and is going to bloom very soon. In fact, there is a flower right there. I'm gonna show you the size of this lettuce right here. This lettuce is a romaine lettuce. Check out the size of this lettuce. I wanna harvest it right now. That is a lettuce right there. Check that out. I have been harvesting one a day, and I've been giving them away to anybody that comes to the house because I have so much lettuce right now. This whole thing was planted with about 25 lettuces, and that other bed also was planted with 25 lettuces. More lettuce than I can eat in these two raised beds right here. And yet I am growing other things like flowers, some huge rhubarb, and some comfrey. Check out the size of this comfrey and the beautiful flowers. This is used to chop and drop and add some nutrition to the soil. On this bed right here I have 4 tomato plants, and these tomato plants are happy. And check out the blooms starting to come in. I need to put cages here or stakes because these will require it very soon. These are so bushy. I can't believe how bushy these are. Check out these beautiful lavender plants, and check out the blossoms on that. Isn't that amazing? I started this lavender from seed 3 years ago, and now it has taken over this whole raised bed. But check out how beautiful it looks. This is thyme that I also started from seed and is flowering right now. And check out the bees. They're all in here right now. So many pollinators. It's good to have the pollinators attracted to your lawn, because then they will pollinate all the crops that you need to pollinate. So even though I will never be able to eat all of this thyme, it is serving another purpose. It is feeding the pollinators, and hopefully in return they will pollinate my crops when they need to be pollinated. The rest of the beds are also in full production mode right now. I have a ton of onions in here as well. I have lovage, I have sage in this one, and then I have a pomegranate and some peas. I also planted out the rest of these beds with tomato plants. There's a few tomato plants here and there. These are not looking as big as the other ones, so I think I need to add more compost here so that they can become a bit happier. My garlic is almost ready to harvest. I recently took away all of the garlic scapes, and now in about a month I think I'll dig up the garlic, and I will have extra space to put in my other pepper plants or whatever heat-loving plants that need to be at the front here. I want to show you this beautiful lettuce plant. This lettuce plant has been bolting, but I have still been eating it. And check out one side of the leaf. This is one leaf from that lettuce plant, and it's so sweet even though it's bolting. I don't know the name of this particular leaf or this particular lettuce. It was probably in a mix, but I really enjoy the flavor, so I'm gonna let this one go to flower, set seed, and then save seed from it because I really like it. Isn't that beautiful? The side yard is starting to come in. Yesterday I harvested the seeds from the collard greens, and check out how many seeds I have for these 3 colors. These are supposed to be perennial to zone 7, and sure enough, that one survived the winter and is producing a ton of leaves. So I hope that by harvesting the seed pods, they now start producing some leaves, and I can start eating the seed, and I can start eating the leaves now. And now I need to come in here and probably put some low growing plants right here, maybe some peppers growing in here. Once I harvest that over there, those are the rest of the garlics, I will have more space to grow heat loving plants in here. This little tree right here is my pomegranate tree. It died all the way to the ground last winter, and now it's coming back from the roots. So I don't think I'm gonna get any flowers from it this year, but I'm glad it didn't die all completely. The yuzu tree is starting to grow a little bit more now. It is a little yellow, but it's starting to get accustomed to its new home, so hopefully it starts pushing on some new growth. I haven't seen any new growth on it, so hopefully we'll see some growth on it this year. I have some palm trees here. These are Chinese palms, and these are just for show, and they should be nice and beautiful once they grow out. And this little side here, I'm planting out some chili peppers, some spicy peppers. They are very small still, but I'm hoping they start putting on some growth so that we can start getting some harvest. I really need to. Last year I dehydrated a bunch of my hot peppers, and then I put them in a coffee grinder and I made powder out of it, and that's the best way to keep your peppers for long-term storage, because I did hot sauce too, and the hot sauce is not long lasting as the powder is. So, and the powder does not need refrigeration, and refrigeration space is quite tight around my house. Even though I have a couple of fridges, I can always use more fridge space. So by dehydrating it, it creates a nice little spice that I can just sprinkle on my food as I eat it. This is Flying Dragon, is doing well, and hopefully in a few years we'll see what it looks like. And this is very exciting. This right here is my elephant garlic, and my elephant garlic, I am letting it flower because elephant garlic can be started from little bulbs that get created after it blooms, or by splitting the bulb itself, or it also creates little side shoot. It also creates little side bulbs at the end of the season, so you can propagate it 3 ways. Normally on my garlic I like to cut the scapes and eat them, but on this one, since I want to produce more stock of the elephant garlic, I'm letting them bloom, and the blooms are very beautiful. This is my potted plant area. I have a lemon tree here and it's starting to put on a lot of flowers. So hopefully we'll get a few that get pollinated and then they start growing. I had a few that were pollinated before, but they turned yellow and they are falling off. So I'm upset about that because I was really looking forward to trying a lemon, a homegrown lemon, but we'll have to wait a little longer, I think. In here I have things that I need to still plant into the ground. I have 3 pots right here with nice banana plants. These are fruiting bananas that I'm hoping to plant inside the greenhouse. And hopefully in the greenhouse they get just a little extra protection so that they can put out a rack of bananas maybe next summer. This is a golden Africa banana. It's supposed to be hardy to zone 7. This is a dwarf Cavendish banana and it is not hardy to our zone, but I'm hoping that by keeping it in the greenhouse I can make it flower. And this is a dwarf Orinoco and it is technically hardy to our zone, but maybe it won't produce fruit. But I am going to make all the effort to make it fruit here in zone 7A. This is how I start all of my pepper plants. I put them in little cups, put a little seed or 2 down in there, and then I grow them out. And these are hot Bikino peppers, little yellow drop peppers, and they are taking forever to grow. I've never seen anything grow slower than this plant right here. These right here I started from seed as well, and these are Korean peppers that are used for making kimchi. So these are ready to go into the ground, so hopefully I'll put them over there where I'll show you once I harvest the garlic. Then over here I have some fancy tomatillo peppers. These are yellow tomatillos, Mayanalco, I can't remember the name. They're originally from Mexico and they are beautiful, sweet, fresh eating tomatillos. So I'm excited to grow these this year. I found them from a rare grower in Canada and then I got the seeds there. This right here is sugarcane and I'm rooting it out so I can grow it. I actually had 3 sections of it and 2 of the sections put out shoots and those are already in the ground. So hopefully we'll have sugarcane at the end of the year. In here I have all my basil starts and they're tiny right now and we'll plant them out very soon next to my tomato plants. I'm going to put them next to the tomato plants because they help repel pests. These right here are sad cucumber plants that need to go into the ground right away. They look a little yellow and that means that they're lacking nitrogen and nutrients. So they should go into the ground soon. These are zucchini plants that also need to go into the ground. And then these are some native milkweed and I need to put those into the ground as well. And I have a ton of other things that I need to put into the ground. Those are my pumpkins for this year, more cucumber plants. And these right here are very cool. I am from El Salvador, as you know, and we eat these red beans and we just call them frijoles de seda. And I went to the grocery store and I was like, oh my God, why haven't I thought of this before? I took the beans and I planted the beans and I got maybe a 50% germination rate. These did not come up, but half of them came up. And now I'm going to be planting these into the ground and growing them out and then making a nice soup out of them. My mom is going to be very happy about these. These are lima beans. I've never grown lima beans before, but I want to give them a try this year. They are vining or trellising type of bean, so I'm going to have to find a spot to put the vines. I'm going to have to find a space to put a trellis so that they can grow on a trellis. Then we have cucumbers, and a few more peppers. The fig tree is happy and is growing, and I think I see a few more figs coming up now. The breve crop, which means the crop that was on the last year's wood, there was not a whole lot of them that were pollinated, or not a lot of them started to grow. I only found like 2 or 3 that are growing from the old wood. You can see this is old wood and it's growing from the old wood. So now I'm gonna have to wait for the new wood to grow out and then push new figs. But this tree right here produced about 50 figs last year and it was all on new wood from the same year. So I'm still hopeful that I'll get a crop. That one hard freeze we had killed about half of the branches on this tree. So it's quite sad because I lost a lot of the tree, and it was very productive. So hopefully this year it grows out and it becomes big again, and I can have a bigger crop. This branch right here, I want to do an air layer on it and hopefully take it out and create one big new tree out of it. So I'll make a video about it, and hopefully I'm successful so you can see the results. This is the other fig tree right here. Today is the first hot day, and the trees are looking a little droopy. We've had a lot of rain recently, but the trees are still looking a little droopy, and I think that's because it is hot today and they're just not used to the heat. But this one also put out some figs on the old wood. So if I'm not mistaken, the figs that grow on last year's wood is called a breve or something like that, breve crop, and then the ones that grow on New Year wood or this year's wood, that's a new crop. And the trees that I'm growing, this is a Chicago Hardy and that is a Celeste. Both of those trees have enough time to produce figs on the new wood, so that is nice because our climate, a lot of times in the winter the branches get killed to the ground, so you can still get a crop once the new branches come out. I'm growing some corn back here as well, and since I noticed at the front that the squirrel was getting to my plants, I just went ahead and put the mesh down first so that we don't have any losses back here. And now I have them here and they seem to be growing just fine. This is my little sifter. This is my compost sifter, and I'm just using it to protect the plants right there. Back here I created this big trellis, and this trellis is right over my compost pile. And there, in the last years or so, I've been mooring the fact that I can't grow anything on top of the compost pile because it's wasted space. So this year I created a trellis over the compost pile, so I can still have my compost pile here but grow a trellis with fruits. And I am going to be growing a chayote. This is the chayote plant that I'm going to be growing on the trellis. I have these bamboo sticks. Hopefully it starts growing soon. I put it in here over a week ago and it hasn't put out any new leaves. Kind of concerning actually, but hopefully it starts growing soon, and I'm going to be growing a ton of chayote right on this. I use a lot of recycled materials from here. This is bamboo, and this is just concrete remesh over the top, and it should be plenty good enough to grow and hold the weight of the chayote. On Amazon I found this very fine mesh covers for my nectarine tree that I thought it was a peach tree, but it's nectarine. So this tree is dropping a lot of fruit. I just think it's not able to hold all the fruit that it put out, so it's dropping a lot of the fruit. You can see they become a little bit like this and then they fall to the ground, and I was blaming the squirrels for that, but now I know that it's not the squirrels doing that, it's just the tree dropping the fruit that it cannot hold. It's still holding on to a lot of fruit, so I'm hopeful that I'll get to taste it, at least one or two. And inside here, inside the mesh, I have a lot of them. So what I did is I cover half of the tree with the mesh because it did not cover all of it. So you can see here, one big branch is covered with the mesh and the rest of the tree is not protected. So we'll see if it makes a difference. It's kind of an experiment here. If it makes a difference to have this mesh or not. And I think it will make a difference once they start getting ripe, because the squirrels only get interested in the fruit once they start getting a little bit more ripe. So we'll see what happens. The Fuju persimmon has set fruit, and I came in here the other day and you can see the baby fruit is right in there. A lot of the flowers got pollinated, so now it's going to start getting a little heavy, and we're gonna have to figure out what to do. I think I'm just gonna provide more support for the branches so that they don't break, and hopefully they will get acclimatized to that new shape. But yeah, these are amazing. I paid a lot of money for this tree, and I'm happy that it will produce some fruit for me this year. I hope at least one of them grows to maturity and I can get at least one fruit. Check out these beautiful banana plants. Last year I did a really good job of protecting the trunks, and that's why they came back so soon. And I'm hopeful that one of these puts out a flower this year, and I'm hopeful that I'll be able to show you that. So stay tuned for that. These are just amazing looking plants, and I'm so happy to have them. This little tree right here, not so little anymore, is a peach tree that I started from a pit last year. In the fall I put it into the ground and it grew out, and now it is almost as big as the one I bought from a nursery. So now I'm starting to think it's probably better to start your trees from seed, because they grow so fast. They do so much better because they have more vigor. They never get a plant shock or anything. So I think I'm gonna start more peaches from seed this year because they're just very nice. Check out this patch of milkweed that I have here. The milkweed, the pod is edible, but I mostly leave it for the butterflies. They like to lay their eggs here, and the monarch butterflies do quite well. And I have my tomato plants in here, and check out how many I have. I think I have over 20 plants in here, and they are getting very big and very nice. So I need to come in here and start trellising and training them up, these bamboo canes, because I see that one right there. It's already starting to lay on the ground. I have been removing the suckers, but I come in here often and I notice that they can regrow. So that's kind of odd. I actually knew that, but these are so prolific at growing the side shoots again. So I'm gonna have to wait, or just let the side shoot grow, I guess. Doesn't matter. Over here I have the potato buckets. I have a ton of potato buckets this year, and hopefully they'll be done soon because I want to plant peppers into them once they are done. They are starting to turn a little yellow, which I think is a lack of nutrition. They're growing in compost, so maybe I just need to add a little more compost to add a bit more nutrition to them. The greenhouse has been cleared from a lot of the things that were in here, and now I'm just planning to put in more peppers in here, and I have tomatoes in here. Check out these tomatoes right here. These are the glacier tomatoes that I planted when it was still cold and the frost had not yet passed. And this one right here is going to start blushing in a few days, and I think I'm gonna have my first tomato in the middle of June. How cool is that? I have another one right over there. So I think the trick is to put them into the greenhouse late in the season when it still might get frosty. These actually went through several frosts and they survived. So I think next year I'm definitely going to save seeds from these glacier tomatoes and grow them again. The greens over here are doing so well. It is full of greens in here, but I need to pull them out and replace them with heat-loving plants because they are going to start bolting, and I need to grow more peppers and more tomatoes. The strawberries in the greenhouse are pushing out a lot of strawberries. In fact, I think they are almost done producing, but the ones outside of the greenhouse have started to produce strawberries. So I'm going to get 2 chances for strawberries this year. And that, my friends, was the full tour of the garden here in early June. Things are going to start growing very fast as the weeks get a little bit hotter here. And hopefully I'll get to do a video a week and push out new content for you guys to watch. If you have questions about what particular things I am growing or what the cultivars are, let me know down in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions of future videos that you would like to see, let me know down in the comments. I have been working a few extra hours at work, so it's been hard to put out new content. So please be on the lookout for a lot of shorts in the future. And I'm going to try to do 1 long form video per week as we get into the growing season. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you on the next one.